Yo, what is going on? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody is doing good. Today we're concluding down the path of 2023 fantasy football rankings. I got your top 40 wide receivers, catchers of balls. Well, there's a lot of good ones. We've seen a lot of, I've seen a lot of mock drafts where we're seeing a lot of fantasy players moving on from running backs in the first round, taking the elite talents at wide receiver first. So it is interesting. Could change the dynamics of your fantasy football drafts because there is a lot of fabulous wide receiver talent. So what do you guys say we talk top 40 catchers of balls? Even though I understand picking a top elite wide receiver early in that first round could be the way to go outside, the top 5 picks being running backs potentially. But there are some players like a Justin Jefferson that people will not get out of the top 6 because they crave that elite talent at the wide receiver spot. And before we get started, hit Underdog, use promo code COVER1, sign up for the best ball and pick'em challenges. It is good fun, no kidding. But let's start off with my top 5. We got JJ, number 1. My top 5 has not changed all the way going back to May. JJ is my number 1 wide receiver. He's going to be, again, lights out, fabulous this year, barring injury and health concerns. He's been relatively healthy, and he's just going to continue to grow further. Not much evaluation needed to be had on JJ. He is one of the best, if not the best, wide receivers in the NFL. Jamar Chase, number 2. Cincinnati Bengals, while his boom consistency rate was a little lower last year, 61.5% on the boom games, Jamar Chase still one of the creams of the crop in this league. And he dealt with some injuries. There is a little concern for me with Joe Burrow and that calf injury. We haven't heard a lot of news of his recovery. Hopefully it doesn't lag on into the season. We've even heard Jamar even say, he'd rather Joe sit out a couple games during the regular season to get right, and just like he did with the hip, Chase did with the hip last year. So we'll see how that does pan out. But Chase, again, should produce for you very high-end numbers. Potentially even could be the top wide receiver in all fantasy football this season. Tyreek Hill, number 3, with Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Waddle. 170 targets last year. That's nothing to sneeze at, man. 1,700 yards. 82.4% on the consistency rate. He was the second best in boom consistency. Tyreek Hill was. This man just hit for you basically every single week, even with a Tua Tagovailoa. And I know, I'm not the biggest favor of Tua on the field, but he can at least support these talented wide receivers like a Tyreek Hill. He should, again, boom for you very, very similarly in the 80th percentile this season. Number 4, Stephon Diggs, Bills Mafia. All the issues that we did see, in this offseason, I think that's in the past. The Bills are ready to go. Did not look good in that Week 2 preseason game. You're not going to sugarcoat that. They didn't look very good at all. What did look good was Dalton Kincaid, so hopefully he's going to pull some coverage. Stephon Diggs potentially going to see a lot more single coverages, less bracket coverage. And 156 targets could see a little bit of a decrease, but he should still, again, be one of the top 5 wide receivers in all of fantasy football again this season. Number 5, CeeDee Lamb. Dallas Cowboys, 156 targets last year himself. Very similar stats to a Stephon Diggs. Yes, he's got Brandon Cooks. Michael Gallup is back, fully healthy. We'll see. Dak Prescott, no Zeke Elliott anymore. Tony Pollard in the backfield. Dak has got to say, he's not going to throw 10 interceptions this year, so that's pretty bold on his part. But I do like this offense. Again, more added wide receiver talent could bring back some of the target share, but it should aid in lesser coverage coming to CeeDee Lamb's side, which means more explosive plays, more efficiency rates going through the roof. CeeDee Lamb, just like a Stephon Diggs, on 71 percentile on the boom consistency. These guys are as good as they get, and it could be a very good season for them. Number 6, Cooper Kupp, man. He dealt with some injuries last year, but Cooper Kupp is the standard when it comes to boom consistency. Almost 90% for you even before he went down with that injury. This guy is automatic. Will it continue this year? I've been dogging a little bit of Matthew Stafford, but it's more than enough to support a Cooper Kupp. He is absolutely unguardable. He will get open every single contest and get you the good point productivity you require. He is dealing with an injury, hence why I got him down here. Maybe the body's breaking down just a little bit. I just want to, hedge my bets just a little bit here. I'm going to go for higher upside with a Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson before I go with a Cooper Kupp. We're talking CeeDee Lamb or Cooper Kupp now. The conversation is getting a lot more interesting, but Cooper Kupp definitely, if he is fully healthy, he should, again, produce very sound numbers for you like he has in the past. Number 7, A.J. Brown, grown-ass man, Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, and I was a naysayer on the potential passing upside and aptitude of a Jalen Hurts coming out of his NFL draft class. He has definitely impressed me. You give him talents like an A.J. Brown, like a Devonta Smith, and he has absolutely repaid us all with believing that he can be and keep going in this direction. Took the Eagles to the Super Bowl. A.J. Brown was very good, 145 targets, 88 receptions. I do want to see that catch rate increase just a little bit, but he was still an absolute machine, almost 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns, 76% on the boom rate. A.J. Brown, again, should be one of the top 10, top 7 wide receivers in this league. There are more mouths to feed. Can Jalen Hurts up his passing aptitude that much more to support them all to higher levels? We shall see, but I think it's a pretty good ceiling that we have seen from this Philadelphia Eagles offense with a Jalen Hurts. Number 8, Davante Adams. I got to drop him down a little bit. I still feel a little bit uncomfortable having him here at number 8, even though it is Jimmy Garoppolo, who is serviceable as a quarterback. Is he going to be able to produce 180 targets this year to a Davante Adams like he saw this past season with Derek Carr? It is very possible. There aren't a lot of, huge multitude of weapons in this pass game. They could once again force feed Davante to the tune of what his stats were, 1,500 plus yards, 14 receiving touchdowns. Even though, okay, he did have some huge contests, his boom rate's only at 64.7%. I do expect that to hover around the same with a Jimmy Garoppolo. We could see some real stinkers come from Jimmy G, which will inhibit Davante Adams to have that top end, trajectory. So it's interesting to say. I think 8 to 10 is very fair for Davante Adams, even though I do believe Jimmy is serviceable enough to support Adams on the regular. Is it going to be overly consistent? That is the question mark I do have, hence why I got him here at number 8. Number 9, Jalen Waddle. Waddle time. How can you not like Jalen Waddle, man? You just get the ball in this guy's hands. He's going to make yak yards and plays all day long. Tua, I mean, this is the thing. He proved that he could support 2,000-yard wide receivers this past year. Obviously, he did go down with the injury, so there was backup assistance, but he is able to support this offense, which means that Jalen Waddle still is a top 10 wide receiver. Jalen Waddle, once Tyreek Hill does leave and retire, he said this could be his last kick in the can. We'll see how Tyreek does with his career, but Jalen Waddle is one of the creams of the crop in this league. I love his game. Yes, he deals with injuries from time to time, but he is a very consistent, very efficient wide receiver for you. I mean, 117 targets for 75 receptions, going to get you the business all day long. Number 10, Garrett Wilson. New York Jets had to raise him up just a little bit. I like what they're doing in New York right now. They signed Dalvin Cook. They're getting Breece Hall back from the pup, and he looked good. Is he fully recovered? We will see. But, I mean, Garrett Wilson is one of these dogs that I've been promoting from Ohio State. Love the Ohio State wide receiver rooms that they continue to put out. They're like the new wide receiver U, man. LSU, take a step back because Ohio State is that team. Garrett Wilson should have a phenomenal season with an Aaron Rodgers. I don't think Rodgers is completely washed just yet. Like I said in the quarterback rankings, he almost has a new lease on life, and I think Garrett Wilson will help aid in that department. Garrett Wilson, barring health, should have a baller type of season. I almost swore on that one. Sorry about that, but he's going to have a baller type of season. No kidding about that. Number 11, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Detroit Lions, he is dealing with an injury right now as well, but he should, again, be right back in that same situation of high-end PPR upside. 106 receptions last year. We could see a very similar stat line, anywhere from 100 to 110, going to that 1,200-yard mark. We do want to see a little bit more upside in touchdown productivity when it comes to an Amon-Ra St. Brown. Without Jameson Williams on the field for the first several games, we could see that increase also. We do got Gibbs, so more rushing upside could be here for this Detroit Lions offense. Play action pass, something that Jared Goff definitely likes. Amon-Ra is going to be that guy. He is very talented. I was a huge supporter of him coming out of his draft class. Called him a lesser Bobby Trees Robert Woods, and he might actually be better than Robert Woods at this point. Number 11 for Amon-Ra is a good deal. Number 12, my guy, Chris Olave, CO2. Okay, and I mean, the argument between me and a buddy is who's the better talent, Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave, and they were very similar statistically this past year. Both are extremely sound talents, while Olave did fail in Garrett Wilson's stat line in yardage and receptions. It was very close, similar stat lines for both these gentlemen, where Olave is 46.7%, Garrett Wilson 47.1%. On the boom consistency, Olave is going to absolutely tear up this league this year, especially with Michael Thomas coming back to the fold. He does look healthy. Michael Thomas does. Slant boy. So you know that there's going to be ample opportunity for Chris Olave to run the field and get those big plays. Going back to Ohio State, Chris Olave had that nose for the end zone, and I do fully expect him to increase on that 4 TDs this year. Chris Olave is one of these guys that is to the moon this year. I really, truly believe it. Devonta Smith, number 13, Eagles. And I mean, just like A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith is just seeing lesser coverage and making the most of every single opportunity that he sees. Having a guy like A.J. Brown on the other side is completely uplifting Devonta Smith, and Jalen Hurts is repaying us in trusting a Devonta Smith. So, I mean, you can't go wrong. He is absolutely safety net at number 13. The value is incredible for him. 71% on the boom rates. He is good. You start him every single week, and you're not even thinking twice because Devonta Smith is definitely going to repay you. Number 14. T. Higgins. He's been dealing with some injuries throughout his career already, and I mean, okay, the Joe Burrow effect once again has T down my board just a little bit. I would have lifted him a little bit higher. He is the Mr. Consistent as well. Still over 1,000 yards with the games that he did miss this past year. Joey B, he can support 2 wide receivers, 3 wide receivers without even blinking an eye. If Joey B gets back to full health, this offense should again be one of the best in the NFL, and T. Higgins will be your standard wide receiver 2. Number 15, Calvin Ridley, Jacksonville Jaguars. He comes off the suspension, and I got him ranked higher than most because I believe in the skill set. He looks ready, he looks rested, he looks fresh and motivated. And with this offense with the Jaguars absolutely taking the next leap in their progression, Calvin Ridley should insert himself as the wide receiver 1 with assistance in Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. Lots of mouths to feed. That is my only concern in this Jacksonville Jaguars team. But Calvin Ridley is the best wide receiver in this room in Jacksonville right now, and he should absolutely repay everybody that drafts his services. And Trevor Lawrence requires an alpha wide receiver like a Calvin Ridley that's going to repay everybody. Calvin Ridley at 15 is definitely fair. Number 16, DeAndre Hopkins, D-Hop. And I mean, going to those Tennessee Titans, you understand, okay, he's been able to produce with far lesser talent at the quarterback position his entire career. Is he getting up in age? Absolutely. Can he do everything he used to do? Maybe not, but I mean, we haven't seen much of a drop-off in his game, even with those Arizona Cardinals. Now here with Ryan Tannehill, they got the run game with a Derrick Henry. D-Hop should easily go back over the 100-target mark in force feeding, especially with a Treylon Burks down with the LCL injury, out 2 to 6 weeks. That could linger into the season. DeAndre Hopkins, absolute steal at number 16. He's going to get wide receiver 1 targets all day long. Should be pretty safe as your wide receiver 2 on your fantasy team. Amari Cooper, number 17, Cleveland Brownies. He had a good year last year, even with Jacoby Brissett until Deshaun Watson came back. He had 132 targets, 1,160 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Fully expect Amari Cooper to come back to fold in this respect as well. I want to believe that Deshaun Watson could regain form and support a lot of these weapons here in Cleveland. Amari Cooper, okay, is he aging as well? He's 29 years old. It's going to start to fall off just a little bit, but he still is one of the best route runners in the entire NFL, and he will make plays with a Deshaun Watson. I do like the upside to value to return on investment for an Amari Cooper. It should be very good for you. He was the wide receiver 9 last year. I don't think he's going to crack top 10 this year with how many good wide receivers there are, but top 12, not out of the question for an Amari Cooper. Number 18, Keenan Allen, Los Angeles Chargers. The injuries scare me, and that's why I got him here. I mean, he's dealt with injuries his entire career. These Los Angeles Chargers do have a lot of upside now with Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator. And, I mean, there are mouths to feed on this offense. Quentin Johnston, we got Mike Williams, you got Keenan Allen. So that's your trio that's going to be likely going into the season. Don't forget about Josh Palmer. He's got some skills for days also. But, I mean, Keenan Allen still is that guy, route-running machine. He's going to make the safe plays. PPR upside still very strong for Keenan Allen. I have no problems picking him up as my wide receiver 2 this year as well. And I think he will definitely be a good return on investment for your fantasy team. Number 19, DK Metcalf. Okay, 141 targets this past year. That should likely decrease, hence why I got him here at number 19. It may be a little bit low, but I got to play it safe because they drafted a guy like Jackson Smith-Njigba. And I mean, this is the biggest concern. Now you got 3 wide receivers to contend with a Geno Smith. Can Geno support 3 wideouts to high-end productivity? It's very possible, but you also got two running backs that are RB1s potentially in this league, and Kenny Walker and Zach Charbonnet. So I'm definitely hedging my bets on a DK Metcalf. He will be the explosive big play threat, just like a Tyler Lockett, and then all the over-the-middle stuff could be starting to go to a Jackson Smith and a Jigba. So DK Metcalf, there's a little risk, but I still do believe he's going to get over that 1,000-yard mark. The targets should curtail back where his upside does reside is in that TD red zone efficiency rates. DK Metcalf in that respect should pay you dividends in points for touchdowns, but I do believe that the receptions and yards may decrease just a little bit this year for DK Metcalf. Number 20, Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry. Now with the decision by the head coach of the Washington Commanders, the Commies, letting Sam Howell be the starting quarterback. Scary Terry should finally break free. I mean, I'm so hopeful. I do believe in Sam Howell. He's my guy. I think that he's going to be absolutely phenomenal in this offense with an Eric Bieniemy. Terry McLaurin is no joke, man. This guy is one of the better wide receivers in this league. Never gets the due respect that he should get. And you got guys playing like Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, and company. There's going to be a lot of spread coverages that are not going to be able to double team these men. So it's pick your poison, Sam Howell. Spread the ball around to whoever is open. And as soon as Jahan Dotson starts repaying everybody right off the bat, you're going to see Terry get open on single coverage as well, because more coverage is going to have to go to Jahan Dotson's side. So, I mean, Terry McLaurin at number 20 is a bargain rate, beautiful. I wide receiver 2 all day long for Terry McLaurin as well. Number 21, I'm a little low on DJ Moore right now. And there's reason for it, because I do believe that these other wide receivers could pay you back a little bit better right now than what a DJ Moore can. But I do believe that if you're going to pick him even up into the number 16, 17 spot for DJ Moore, that's completely fair for me also. Depending on what's on the board, depending on what your running backs are, I can see you going after a DJ Moore, because I think he will be very good with a Justin Fields. This offense should be much better, much improved. And I mean, DJ Moore has been craving to have a quarterback like a Justin Fields throughout his entire career. He should pay you big time back for the draft pick placement that you do take him. 21 is a little low, I agree, but I had no choice because I do like the safer upside with the other wide receivers. But DJ Moore, high-end upside appeal is definitely here. I like him at 21. If you up to 21 up to about 16, I'm okay with DJ Moore in that respect. Number 22, Deebo Samuel, San Francisco 49ers. He's been dealing with injuries. Now the rushing upside is likely gone with a Christian McCaffrey like we saw this past year. The injuries, that's the problem. Can he stay on the field once again? Okay, everybody gets injured, and then they could have a bounce-back year. 94 targets for 56 receptions. Did not get it done, man. Only 11, or he got over 11 touchdowns this past season, I should say. Deebo's still an exceptional talent now with a Brock Purdy, who is the quarterback, system quarterback for a Kyle Shanahan. He's going to be able to spread the ball around to all these wide receivers. Health is the biggest issue, and then the lack of rushing upside that will get you Deebo to that next level where we did see him a couple years back. So I'm playing it a little safe on Deebo. If he comes to me value-wise at the right point, at the right round in my draft, absolutely smashing on Deebo. But now, just for ranking purposes, 22 is where I have him because I need to play it safe here. Number 23, Christian Kirk, Jacksonville Jaguars. He was better than I thought he was. I did not give this man near enough respect, especially with a Trevor Lawrence. Throwing him the ball, he was over 1,100 yards this past year on 133 targets. That's going to get curtailed back with a Calvin Ridley. We will see this offense, but the best part about Christian Kirk this year is that his upside to scoring big explosive touchdowns will be here, because now you got a guy like Calvin Ridley who's going to be likely the number one wide receiver and getting the top DBs to cover him this season. Christian Kirk is a very good flex to wide receiver, low-end wide receiver 2 this year, I want to say. So I have no issues drafting a Christian Kirk and likely starting him almost every single week because he won't see the top-end coverage. I like Christian Kirk this year a lot. I like the Jaguars a lot, period. Number 24, Christian Watson, Green Bay Packers. I know there's a lot of y'all that are extremely high on Christian Watson. I'm in the middle right now. I like his game, the speed, the wheels, the automatic touchdown upside that this man clearly possesses. We got to see what it's going to turn out to be with Jordan Love. Yes, he's looking sharp already, figuring things out in the preseason. They added that young kid, Reed, from Michigan State, likely going to take the slot duties in this offense where Christian Watson can now be your yak machine. I do like the ability, if they're going to be going short, quick passing to these wide receivers. Christian Watson will definitely explode in the yak ability, scoring you long touchdowns because nobody can catch this man. He's an absolute beast in wheels. So we'll see. 65 receptions last year, but he did get 7 touchdowns. I believe he scored a touchdown in every game, 6 touchdowns in 7 games, I think it was. Something crazy at the end of the season. But with Jordan Love, I do believe in him. I do believe that the stats will be early, and then it could come back just a little bit as tape gets more on Jordan Love. And then as they pick up around week 8, week 10, the Green Bay Packers should start to figure things out. Christian Watson should have a good season. I'm just, a little bit of lack of trust. Let's just say it that way for Christian Watson this year. Number 25, Mike Evans. This feels criminal. I feel sad because Mike Evans is that dude, man. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. This guy is Mr. 1000 automatic every single year. The biggest issue, who's throwing him the ball this year? No question on talent. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, there is no issue with the talent marker. It's just who's throwing you the ball. We got Baker Mayfield. We got Kyle Trask. And I got to say, what the heck are we going to be in for this season? Both, obviously, Baker Mayfield has seen better days. His career is going in the wrong direction. Kyle Trask, could he be something? Okay, maybe. He's an average to above average quarterback. I'm not expecting the next coming of Tom Brady from these two gentlemen in this offense, so that's why I'm playing it extremely safe on a Mike Evans. If he does fall down my board, is my wide receiver 3, then we're talking a little different story. Even wide receiver 4, then I might be happy, but he won't go that far. But Mike Evans, to me, obviously he can uplift any quarterback in the offense. Just throw the ball in my area. I'm going to come down with the ball. That's why I got Mike Evans above a Chris Godwin right now, where I know a lot of people have that flipped, where I do believe the red zone upside will aid Mike Evans in his fantasy productivity. If Mike did not have that 45-point game last season, his stats would have been very much more drastically worse this past year, but he did get over that 1,000-yard threshold once again. This could be the year we don't see Mike Evans crack that 1,000 receiving yard mark, so you got to play it safe in this one. I am not sold on this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense with Baker or Kyle Trask. Number 26, Michael Pittman. This man saw 141 targets this past year and only had caught, 99 balls, but he did not cross 1,000 yards. It was the biggest blunder of, situation because Matt Ryan just could not stretch the field. He was obviously cooked and done. Now Anthony Richardson is this quarterback. He's going to be able to at least stretch the field with these wide receivers. I do see an uplift with Michael Pittman. I just do believe that there could be a lot of growing pains for Anthony Richardson early on in the season. As we get closer down, week 6 to week 10, we could see him start to figure it out a little bit more. Hopefully the coaching staff understands how to utilize Pittman with a Richardson. But there's going to be a lot of running upside here in Indianapolis this season with a rushing quarterback like him. I'm playing it safe once again here with a Michael Pittman. I think he could absolutely disappoint if you take him too high. So you got to watch that value marker for him. But he still is likely the wide receiver 1. They got additions with a Josh Downs, so that should help aid pull coverage as well. We'll see how it goes. I may be off on Pittman this year, but I think the following years he will rise right back up my board because the talent is just too good. Number 27, Jahan Dotson. I am going way over consensus because I'm a huge fan of what these Washington Commanders are doing. Jahan Dotson is that guy, okay? He is, I don't want to say he's a wide receiver 1 in this league, but it's pretty close, okay? And he's going to show it this year as well, that he is virtually unguardable. He's a playmaker in the open field. For a guy that's his size, he can absolutely jump and make contested catches and come down with the ball. Playing next to a guy like Scary Terry, you're going to see these two gentlemen absolutely feast on the field on Sundays. 61 targets last year. Yes, he dealt with injuries, but he found the end zone 7 times. I fully expect Jahan Dotson to be closer to that 1,000-yard mark, especially with a Sam Howell. He can definitely support multiple wide receivers in any offense. Number 28, Tyler Lockett. Here's the thing with the Seattle offense. Somebody's got to get pulled back on these targets, right? Last year, Tyler Lockett, once again, over that 1,000-yard mark, 9 touchdowns. He was 75% on the consistency rate. Very good season once again. Tyler Lockett does produce, but the problem that we see with Tyler Lockett, he'll hit for you 2 games, he disappears for 2 games, 3 games. He hits for you 3 games, and then he goes away for 3 games. That is the biggest frustration with a Tyler Lockett so far throughout his career. Now you add a guy like Jackson Smith and Jigba. You have a trio of wide receivers that need to be getting the ball. Somebody's got to take a step back, and I got to believe that Tyler Lockett could be that guy. I'm dropping him down my board just a little bit more than consensus, just to be, reasonable on the fact there's only so many targets that can go around, especially with a Pete Carroll who does love to run the ball, and now he's got two thoroughbreds in his backfield. Somebody's got to lose some target share. We could see the first time Tyler Lockett go under 100 targets. I would not be surprised, man. Number 29, Brandon Ayuk. He filled in admirably for a Deebo Samuel when he went down, and I think his season is going to be lights out once again this year. He is proving to be progressing in the right direction. When, a couple years back, he was in the doghouse with Kyle Shanahan. He looks good, man, and I think he's going to continue where he left off last year. 114 targets, over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. Consistency boom rate is under 50%, but that should increase as Brock Purdy does get more comfortable in the NFL and starts dissecting these defenses. Ayuk should be another prime target this year in this offense, but there are weapons that they do have in this wide receiver room, so definitely watch out. Gray and Ronnie Bell, these guys are not no slouches either, so Brandon Ayuk is going to have, that's why he's challenging so hard, because the competition in this wide receiver room is that good, but Brandon Ayuk should have a very solid season for you as your wide receiver 2-3-ish in that range. Number 30, Chris Godwin. Again, this is no indication on the talent of the wide receiver, but rather who's throwing them the ball. Last year, he only got 3 touchdowns, but he did have 53% on the boom rate. So he did repay you. 104 receptions with Tom Brady. Everyone's thinking that this is going to be the same case. PPR upside is going to be more an uplift Chris Godwin before a Mike Evans. Pick your poison, man. I think that we could see a lot more Mike Evans this year over a Chris Godwin, but I'm kind of fading both these guys at this point right now. If I have no other options and I drafted too many running backs and require wide receivers, then I'm going and targeting Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Outside of that, I think I can wait. There's a lot of youthful talent here at the wide receiver spot. So Chris Godwin, for me, I might be a little bit more lower on him than most, but there's reasons to it. You want to trust Baker and Kyle Trask? Then all the power to you this fantasy football season. Number 31, we got George Pickens. Excuse me, and there is a lot of youthful talent here as we go from 31 to 40 because George Pickens is that guy. First-round talent dropped in the draft due to that ACL, and he's proving it on the daily. Acrobatic catches. This guy can make plays. You got Moss appeal, one-handed, sideways, toe drag swag. He's a human highlight reel. George Pickens was a beast, and the talent is there. There is no question about that. Injuries did foil him in college. Now we got Kenny Pickett. He's looking better, looking sharp, and I think his progression is just going to continue. But if we're picking one out of the two, Deontay Johnson or George Pickens, sign me up for Georgie Porgy all day long because I think Pickens is going to be that guy. He's true alpha wide receiver. He's going to smoke a lot of these DBs this year. Number 32, Denver Broncos, Jerry Jeudy. How can we trust what Denver's doing at this point? Jerry Jeudy's a phenomenal talent as well, but are we going to see the top-end productivity from this wide receiver room? That is the biggest question mark that I do see. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. Tim Patrick went down with that injury. He is gone for the season. Believe it was the Achilles after coming off the ACL. There is issues in this offense. Can they iron it out? Is Russell Wilson cooked? Is he finished? Is he done? Jerry Jeudy, 100 targets last year, almost 1,000 yards. So I do believe that he could likely get over that 1,000-yard mark. How efficient is it going to be? How often is it going to happen? 32 seems fair to me. Like I said, so many talented wide receivers. If I'm getting Jerry Jeudy as my wide receiver 3, then okay, I'm happy, and I will take that all the way to the bank. Number 33, Drake London. I'm very much lower than a lot of y'all on this because I am not convinced on Desmond Ridder just yet. I got to see a lot more in NFL action for me to trust this. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, they're all amazing, talented players. Drake London with somebody like a Justin Fields, sign me up all day long. Drake London with someone like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, sign me up all day long. This is where it does change. We got to see the quarterback play. My problem is, could we see sparring stats from Drake London this year, much like we saw this past season? How many touchdowns are they going to score? Are they going to be playing from behind a lot? This is very possible in Atlanta. The only upside here is that there is potential garbage time upside, so that means with Drake London, you may be biting your nails all game long until the end, especially if they're trailing, where you get a garbage touchdown for Drake London to save your fantasy day. I'm just not in it for that. I don't like to stress on my Sundays, man. Sundays are for football and fun. Stress is part of it, obviously, in fantasy football, but Drake London might be a little bit more stress. I may be too low on him this year, but I'm totally okay doing it because I do believe there's other upside with better wide receivers as well. Number 34, Mike Williams. Los Angeles Chargers, they drafted Quentin Johnston for a reason. They're tired of seeing Mike Williams in the medical room. Health and injuries have been his MO throughout his entire career. Now you got another tall tree like a Quentin Johnston who could replace a Mike Williams eventually. It's going to be very interesting how this Dallas Cowboys, I was going to say, because Kellen Moore is the offense coordinator, how this Chargers offense does move forward with a Kellen Moore. They're saying Justin Herbert looks that much better in this new system. Quentin Johnston could be the guy that takes over some of this target share, where I think Keenan Allen is the safer product because he will get his targets. Who's going to split Mike Williams and Quentin Johnston? How are these targets going to get, dispersed? And then with Josh Palmer. So there is a target share volume issue when it comes to Mike Williams on top of the injury history, which I'm not willing to necessarily bite on this year. Depending on value, everybody's pickable. But, Mike Williams at 34, I got to say it this year. It's got to be what it is. Number 35, Deontay Johnson. This one feels low to me, but I had no choice. The dropping problem does still, bug me a lot. Yes, he is, huge target pig, 147 this past year, but I think it's going to flip just a little bit. We're going to see a little bit more of, even split in volume between him and George Pickens, and I think on the upside, Pickens might be the bigger play wide receiver that Pittsburgh wants to employ at this point. Deontay is a phenomenal talent, great route runner, but he does have those concentration drops, which drives me crazy. You need those 5 yards to win your matchup, and Deontay drops the ball, and you're cursing at your TV. Deontay's a good talent. I like him a lot. He could be your wide receiver 2 in an offense this season. But 23% on the consistency rate is why I got him down here so low. He's just not consistent, booming games every single week for you. Don't like it, pick your poison. If he is there lower, then yes, I will take a chance. Outside of that, I'm finding other wide receivers to snag, like a Jordan Addison at number 36. I think sky is the limit for this young man. He was my number 1 wide receiver coming out of this draft class, ahead of a Jackson Smith-Njigba. And for a reason, this man can separate and run routes like I haven't seen in years. I'm telling you, and with Kirk Cousins, I've been saying it through all these ranking videos, likely the last kick in the can for Kirk Cousins in Minnesota, so we could see massive passing upside with a Jordan Addison. You got JJ pulling all the coverage. Addison's going to be roaming free, and I'm telling y'all, you're going to see within the first 3 weeks, he is unguardable, and his hands are like glue. Soft hands corrals them in. Jordan Addison could be one of the better wide receivers to come out of this draft class. No kidding, and the target share should be very favorable. Number 37, Gabe Davis. Buffalo Bills, biggest knock on Gabe, his catch percentage. That's how it is, but I want to tell y'all something. There's lots of research that goes on to Gabe Davis. Everyone's going to say he can't catch the ball, 53, 54% on the catch rate. Gabe was dealing with injuries all last season. Gabe in this offense was only going deep. Now we're seeing a little bit of a morphing where he's going to see a little bit more shorter routes, slant routes, outs, and such to get the target share up. You put Gabe Davis in that 110 target share rate, you're going to see that catch rate go up as well. He was in his own head just a little bit, dropping those passes. The TD upside is always going to be here for Gabe. But I understand that the hit and miss on the consistency under 40% is not good, no bueno. But at least the value to return on investment is more fair than it was last year. We all thought Gabe was going to boom and be crazy. Did not repay us. That's why everybody's sour. Get back on board for where the value is for him. Wide receiver 37, you can get him late in your drafts. And he could be a flex player all day long and then even come up to your wide receiver too, depending on if he does fix these catch problems. This will be the last year in fantasy that I do promote Gabe Davis, though. I'm going to put the caveat on that one. No kidding. Number 38, Marquise Hollywood Brown. Okay, this seems criminal as well. Marquise is a phenomenal speedster that is going to make plays, but who's throwing him the ball? Is it Toon? How much are they going to see, great offensive productivity? They're likely going to be a dump fire in Arizona, going to be playing from behind. Lots of garbage time productivity likely coming for this offense. I just can't trust it. I do not like what Arizona is doing whatsoever without Kyler Murray. I got to pass and fade on a Marquise. That's why I got him at number 38. You guys pick him if you want. I'm not touching it this year. Nuts whatsoever, I should say, at all. See, he's getting me confused, man. They got me scared over there in Arizona. It's no good, man. Number 39, Brandon Cooks, Dallas Cowboys. He cracks my top 40 because I do believe he is one of the most disrespected wide receivers. All this man does is put up statistics. Yes, last year was the outlier out of basically his entire career. LA Rams, he put up. Before New Orleans Saints, he put up. Even with the New England Patriots, he put up stats. He's going to do it again in this offense. Now playing with guys like CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, who is known to get his wide receivers the ball. As long as Dak doesn't throw interceptions, Brandon Cooks should have a very good season for you. Could be a flex player. Could put up massive stats. He still has wheels. Yak ability is there. Deep threat appeal is there. I think he could be the wide receiver 2 in Dallas this season. Forget about Michael Gallup, and it's Brandon Cooks and CeeDee Lamb show, and you're getting a bargain here for potential 100-plus targets for Brandon Cooks. Sign me up all day long. 39 might be too low for Brandon Cooks this year, but I'm going to play it safe. Number 40, last one on my board is Jackson Smith-Njigba. Like I said, one of these wide receivers in Seattle is going to do the business. Someone's going to get a curtail back in target share. Jackson Smith-Njigba over the middle will instantly become that safety blanket for a Geno Smith. He is one of the most talented wide receivers coming out of this draft. Him and Jordan Addison were like neck and neck. It was 1A for me with these two wide receivers. They are so good at their craft. Njigba, the athleticism, the body balance, the hands, the route tree. Everyone cussing Njigba's speed, saying he doesn't have home run appeal. Who cares? He doesn't need it because he gets open with separation, and he's going to find ways to score touchdowns for you. Jackson Smith-Njigba is the truth, and he might make one of these other guys, expendable on this roster. Maybe Tyler Lockett is going to be gonzo very shortly because Jackson Smith-Njigba is that good, and he will produce. Number 40 is definitely fair for this rookie. So there you have it. That is your top 40 wide receivers. I did them all for you. Quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends, now wide receivers. Go check out all those videos on the rankings. Get you ready for your fantasy football drafts. And good luck to everybody. I will still continue until we get to week 1. We will have other videos, but these are your rankings to get you ready for your drafts because it is very important. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts. What are y'all thinking of these wide receiver ranks? You disagree with anything? Throw them in the comments. If you agree, throw them in the comments. Hit that like button too for me. Help us grow this channel that much more. But we'll see you next time. I am out.